When Teyana Taylor first stepped out with her new man, the world paused for a second. The glow on her face, the energy in her walk, it all screamed, new chapter. And honestly, after everything she'd been through with Amon, fans were rooting for her. They wanted her to win, to finally be loved the way she deserved. At first, it really did look like she had found that love. But lately, something about it all is making people shift uncomfortably in their seats. The smiles seem a little forced. The affection a little cold, and the vibe, well, people are starting to call it the kick. You know that feeling? The kind where nothing major has gone wrong, but there's a strange unease in the air? That's what fans are feeling now when they watch Teyana and Aaron together. What started as sweet has slowly started to feel off. And it didn't happen all at once. The shift was subtle, like a slow-moving cloud covering what once looked like sunshine. At the BET Awards, everything still looked picture-perfect. Teyana showed up glowing, confident, and holding Aaron's hand like she was holding the future. Cameras flashed. People cheered. Even the blogs couldn't help but gush. He looked calm, polished, like a rock beside her fire. They were the unexpected couple people didn't know they needed. But even then, a few quiet voices noticed something different. Aaron wasn't smiling the way people expected him to. His eyes seemed distant, his posture a little stiff. Still, the hype drowned out the doubt. Nobody wanted to question it. Especially not after watching what Teyana had endured with Amon. She had been so loyal for so long. So forgiving. So private even when it clearly hurt. So when she finally chose someone new, fans were eager to cheer her on without reservation. But fast forward just a few weeks, and the tone online is completely different. Clips of Aaron at events with Teyana started circulating on social media. In one video, she's laughing, dancing, clearly trying to enjoy herself. But he just sits there, barely reacting. No smile, no playful energy, not even a glance. Some fans tried to brush it off, maybe he's just introverted. Maybe he's tired. But the pattern kept repeating. Every time she was being joyful, he looked like he wanted to be anywhere else, and once the TikTok detectives got involved, it was a wrap. Body language experts, real or self-declared, began posting deep breakdowns of the couple. Aaron's shoulders were always slightly turned away. His eyes rarely locked on hers. In every photo, her grip on his hand seemed tighter than his on hers. The most viral video? A 15-second clip of Teyana whispering something in his ear while he barely nodded, not even cracking a smile. The caption said, "You ever seen someone look trapped in a hug?" The internet, of course, had mixed reactions. Some argued that not everyone shows affection in public. That being reserved isn't a crime. But others insisted that something about him just didn't sit right. Not because he was quiet, but because he was cold. The comments kept piling in. He gives me the ick. Something feels off, like he's just tolerating her. Why does it feel like she's working so hard to make it look like love? And then came the deeper fears, the ones nobody wanted to say out loud. Is she in another relationship where she's giving more than she's getting? It's a harsh question, but not an unfamiliar one. Teyana has always been a giver. In her marriage with Amon, she was the one constantly uplifting, defending, and holding the household together while he, well, did not. And now, fans are watching her fall into similar patterns. Being bubbly and affectionate with a man who remains eerily still. Some people started digging into Aaron's past. Old interviews, past relationships, even blurry paparazzi photos. What surfaced wasn't anything scandalous, but it wasn't exactly warm either. He's always been quiet, mysterious, slightly aloof. In one interview, he mentioned that he finds public attention unsettling. Another time, he admitted that love feels complicated and overwhelming for him. Now, none of this means he's a bad person. But in the context of being with someone like Teyana, so expressive, so full of life, it's starting to create emotional friction. Like watching a fire try to warm a stone that refuses to move. And the worst part? Teyana doesn't seem to see it. Or maybe she does, and she's choosing to ignore it. There was one particularly uncomfortable moment that made people talk even louder. At a private event, someone caught a short video of Teyana joking with a group of friends, laughing as she leaned into Aaron's shoulder. But instead of laughing with her, Aaron pulled away slightly, almost like her closeness startled him. He looked at her, blank-faced, then turned to grab a drink. Fans immediately called it a red flag in 4K. Then came the whispers from insiders. Alleged friends of Teyana started dropping cryptic comments. One simply posted on IG stories, "It's not love if you have to fight for it alone." No names were mentioned, but the timing was enough for fans to connect the dots. Another source allegedly told a blog that Aaron is just not emotionally available, and that Teyana is trying to make up for both of them. Even worse. There's now talk that Aaron may be feeling overwhelmed by Teyana's fame. A person claiming to be close to Aaron's circle said, "He didn't sign up to be in the spotlight like this. He thought it would be low-key. Now he feels like he's dating a brand, not a person." That one sentence broke a lot of hearts. Because Teyanas Brand is her. When a woman pours her soul into her art, her fashion, her motherhood, and her self-love, and someone says they feel like she's too much, it cuts deep. And yet, that's exactly what people are worried Aaron is starting to feel. Not intentionally, not cruelly, but quietly, and sometimes, that quiet dismissal hurts even more than loud disrespect. Because it's harder to point to. Harder to name. It's the kind of thing that eats away at you over time. The lack of engagement. The fading warmth. The emotional absence that starts to feel louder than any argument ever could. Teyana hasn't publicly addressed any of the rumors. She's still posting her usual content, dance videos, motherhood moments, and occasionally a subtle nod to her relationship. But even her fans are noticing that the joy seems thinner. One person commented, "Her eyes don't sparkle the same when she's with him." Another said, "She's forcing this happy narrative, but her energy is screaming tired." What makes this all so complicated is that Aaron hasn't done anything objectively wrong. There's no cheating scandal. No betrayal. No explosive argument caught on tape. It's just emotional mismatch. And that, sometimes, is even harder to walk away from. Sometimes, love doesn't end because of pain, it fades in the silence of unmet needs. When you love someone who never hurts you, but never truly holds you either, you stay longer than you should. You tell yourself they just need time. That if you love them harder, they'll finally show up in the way you've been showing up for them. You keep hoping they'll meet you halfway. That they'll stop making you feel like you're loving for two. But deep down, maybe Teyana knows the truth. Some people just aren't capable of giving what you give. Not because they're cruel, but because they don't have the depth or the willingness to show up in the way you deserve. And for someone like her, someone who has already been through public heartbreak, a painful divorce, and the heavy weight of constant judgment, there's a part of her that may be clinging to the hope that this time, it'll work. That if she just holds on long enough, this love won't fall apart. Two people close to her have noticed the shift. She's quieter now. More private. Not broken, but distant. Like she's retreating from the version of herself that once lit up every room. And for a woman like Teyana, who was born to shine, to take up space unapologetically, that dimming doesn't go unnoticed. She was never meant to shrink. Never meant to love in silence just to keep something that no longer feels real. And maybe that's what fans are picking up on. The love story that once felt full of fire now feels like a carefully choreographed routine. Each photo together seems staged. Each appearance feels like an obligation rather than a celebration. And that uneasy feeling, that ick, it's not just about him. It's about the fear that she's silencing her own intuition again. That she's choosing performance over peace. And the saddest part? She knows better. She always has. But sometimes, even the strongest hearts want something to work so badly, they forget they deserve something that doesn't require them to beg for warmth. In the end, this isn't about pointing fingers at Aaron. It's not about painting him as the villain in a story that might just be mismatched from the start. It's about recognizing when something looks picture perfect on the outside but feels deeply misaligned on the inside. And that's exactly where many of Teyana's fans find themselves, hoping she sees the disconnect before she loses more of herself trying to make it work, because real love doesn't require convincing. It doesn't leave you questioning your worth or wondering if you're too much, or maybe not enough. It doesn't make you feel like you're constantly reaching, explaining, shrinking. True love feels like ease. Like peace. Like home. And right now, people are starting to wonder if what Teyana is holding onto is actually weighing her down, that there's a silence around her now that didn't used to be there. A shift. She seems more reserved, less open. Not broken, Teyana's too strong for that, but perhaps just tired. Quietly enduring something that doesn't fully hold her. And when someone so full of presence starts to dim that light, you can't help but worry. As social media dissects every shared moment between her and Aaron, every glance, every photo, every red carpet step, there's a growing sense that something's missing. Maybe it's chemistry. Maybe it's emotional alignment. Maybe it's just timing. Whatever it is, fans feel it. The connection looks strained. The spark feels rehearsed. Whether this is just a rough patch or a deeper truth unraveling, time will tell. But one thing is clear, Teyana deserves a love that meets her where she is, not one that makes her lower herself to stay. And watching a woman so worthy slowly settle for less than she's earned, that's the quiet kind of heartbreak that doesn't need a headline to hurt. Maybe she's still figuring it out. Maybe she's already planning her exit. Or maybe, just maybe, she still believes this man will one day meet her where she is. But if that day never comes, the world hopes she won't stay waiting in the dark. Because Teyana's light is too rare to be dimmed by someone who doesn't know how to hold it.